Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm your host, Bruce Waller, where I'm talking to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in our communities. What did they do to get started? And what are they doing to stay there, to stay in that leadership lane? And today is our last episode of 2020. And I normally wouldn't say this, but I have saved the best for last. As today, I'm getting to talk to Martha Ellen Causey Thornton. She goes by Marty, and she is my mom. She's a leader in our family. She's a leader in her business, and she's a leader in the community. And I am so excited to be doing this today, Mom. How are you?
I'm fine, Bruce. How are you, honey?
I am so glad we're getting to do this. So whenever I thought about this podcast and I started recording episodes, this is one of the episodes that I've been looking forward to all year. So I'm so glad that you came on today. So for the people that don't know much about, you're a bowling proprietor in Shawnee. For those who don't know much about a Shawnee Bowl, can you just share what is Shawnee Bowl? How many lanes do they have? And where's it located?
It's located in Shawnee, Oklahoma at 701 North Harrison. And we have 24 lanes. And we also have a very large game room. And we have lots of customers. And the coronavirus has kind of hit us hard. But we are doing really well at this time. And we still are open. And we try to make sure everybody is protected, and our leagues are still bowling, and it's got a snack bar, and we probably have the best hamburgers in town.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure you said that, because that is what I wanted to get to right there. The best cheeseburgers in town. Every time I go home, I always want to get a cheeseburger from Shawnee Bowl. And so I wanted to have you on the show today because, I've had a front row seat to your leadership from day one. I've seen you lead in the community. I've seen you lead at different bowling centers. And so I would like to just kind of open up our conversation and just kind of share your story. And I would love for you to share where were you born and where did you grow up?
Well, when I was born, there weren't a lot of hospitals around, so I was born in a house. My aunt was the lady that helped the doctor deliver me. I was the first girl after 3 boys. My mother thought I was her Christmas present, and so I didn't live in a house with running water until I was in the 5th grade. So it was very different back then than it is now. But I was born in Kingfisher County, Oklahoma. So I really wasn't born in a hospital. So, but these are things my mom have told me over the years. So.
Well, your mom, Lillian Foltz, interesting. She said that you were a Christmas present. This episode is being taped in November, but we're going to actually play this episode December the 19th, 4 days before your birthday. So first of all, happy early birthday. And second of all, wow, what a wonderful gift for a mother to have a child right before Christmas. Isn't that cool?
Well, she thought it was, especially after having 3 boys. My oldest brother told everyone if I was a girl, he was going to throw me in the river. And so I was born, my aunt, she asked him, well, Floyd, I thought you were going to throw her in the river if she was a girl. He says, oh, I am Aunt Gladys, when she learned how to swim out.
Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. So you were in a household of, I guess you had 5. Was there 5 brothers and sisters that you grew up with?
Yes, I have a sister that's 6 years younger than I am and 3 older brothers. So there was 5 altogether.
So what was that like? What was that like as, I mean, just, you have any favorite like memories as kids running around together?
I had my own guardians. I mean, uh, they watched out after me, my brothers did, and made sure that I didn't make the wrong turn. You know, it's like, you know, having your own guards watch. So, but it was fun. It was. My brothers were very good to me, and it was fun. It's, we were poor and we played games and cards and listened to the radio. We didn't have TV back then when I was little. So we listened to the radio a lot. So,
Oh, that's
and,
fantastic.
mhm.
So now I mentioned Grandma Fultz. She was a single mom raising her children. You lost your father in the war. Can you talk a little bit about that and what was that was like for her?
uh, I think it was very hard for her all her life. He died when he was 31 in the Port Chicago accident. And so, yes, we moved to Edmond, and she moved to Edmond because her and my father had thought the boys could go to school at, it's UCO now, but it was Central State College back then. And they thought they could live at home and go to college. So that's why mother moved to Edmond. And she took all of us with her. So my grandfather didn't live but about 30 miles away, but our cars didn't go like they do now. But we would go see my grandfather every weekend, and so it was fun growing up. It We didn't think we were poor; we thought we were rich.
Isn't that great? Oh man, it's all about perspective. I can't even imagine what that was like for Grandma, but man, she was strong,
Yes,
so strong.
yes, she was one of the strongest, sweetest women that ever lived.
One of the things I wanted to mention was that whenever at one time, you were a single mother raising 5 children, and I've shared this with different people, but you had to like work multiple jobs at one time. I know Grandma worked as she was a nurse, raising her children, of course, but you kind of followed suit. You had to work multiple jobs too, didn't you?
Well, technically, mother wasn't a nurse when she raised us children. She actually did not go back to nursing school until she was late 40s. She, I was 18 before mother went back to nursing school and married and moved out. And that's when mother went back to nursing school.
Wow. Well,
She,
what was that like? I mean, you got to see that firsthand. I mean, you're 18 years old and you get to see your mother, 40 years old, going back to school.
so
We'd like to call it skilling up. That's got to be inspiring for you.
oh, inspiring, yes. She just inspired everybody.
Mm.
She never met a person she didn't like. There was never anything bad about anybody. She was just very unique.
But I know it had to be hard for her. And then, like I said, when you were working, like you at one time, weren't you working like 3 jobs at one time? I mean, that had to be hard for you too, right?
I did. The hardest part was, making sure my children were taken care of. That was what was the most important to me. But mother worked at night and 3 to 11, and I would go and work from 11 to 7, and then I would work. A lot of times I would go to the bowling center in the afternoon and coordinate leagues and stuff. That's, uh, you know, I just did lots of things. I worked
Well,
at 11 for a while. I worked at Redbud. So the best part was when I went to work for Redbud because I made more money and I could afford to do more things for you kids. So, but Yeah, it was fun raising you kids.
Well,
It was,
I wanted to mention that because, you know, there's a lot of people that a lot of times single parents today, they get, you know, they have tough times. But what I wanted them to know, hear from you is that, you know, you get through it. I mean, you worked hard, but you got through it.
absolutely. And somebody said it's not the product, it's the finished product.
Mm.
My children are the finished product, and everybody should be very proud of their children.
Well, I want to talk about that. Okay, so then of course you met Dad, and you both raised seven children, seven children. Count them. What was that like raising all of those kids?
Well, really, really kept each other entertained. If we would go, we went to California to pick Dean and Dawn and bring them home with us in the summertime. And like you said on your Facebook one day, we took you all to a ball game. Well, you all were so good. I mean, it's hard for people to believe five children can be that, or seven children can be that good. But you minded well. But you had to mind at home. Therefore, we could take you out.
Oh, that was a great memory. I actually posted whenever we got the Dad bought us all bobbleheads,
Dean
and
says he told me.
yeah, and so Dean and Joe, I think they had the Dodgers, and they tore theirs apart, and I had the Cincinnati Reds, and I kept mine.
Dean still got his.
Oh, he still has his. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh man. Well, and then my Cincinnati Reds, I remember they tried to pull it, and I was like, no. And I still have it today, and it's a cherished memory from back in the mid '70s. And I'm so grateful for that. Any other memories? I know we went to the lake. I mean, I remember one time the park ranger told us we couldn't come to the lake anymore because we had so many people in the boat.
Yes. That was up here at the lake up here by the city.
Lake Draper.
Yes, Lake Draper. So we started going to Lake Thunderbird after that. But Jack taught you all, every one of you, how to ski.
Yeah,
And
I remember Mark buying those trick skis and learning how to trick ski. And one of my favorite memories is I remember we would camp out, and we would smell that cooking. Dad would be cooking that breakfast in the morning. That's what woke us up.
that's the best part of it, was the breakfast of the morning. I love to get up and cook breakfast. That was great.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you today was, what are some lessons you tried or you hoped to teach your children?
Well, I just wanted my children to think for themselves and not to think like everybody else mainly. I want them to be good and be proud of who they were. And I just wanted them to just be good Christian people.
You know, if you go to my mom's house, you will see lots and lots and lots of pictures on the wall. And so you can tell she's very proud. And I was just, one of the questions I asked, you know, I see all of your children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. What are you most proud of?
My children. I'm proud of my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, but I'm most proud of my children.
Yeah, well, we're proud of you too. And, you know, I was hoping to get this part on recording. Now, just real quick, I didn't have this question down to share with you, but I was just thinking of it. Do you want to go ahead and just say on recording here who your favorite child is?
Well, if you ask Mark and Deborah, Bruce is my. If you ask someone else, they'll say Deanna's my favorite. I have 5 favorite children.
That's
They're
a
all
good.
their own way.
Good
and
answer.
like. And I love every one of you.
Oh, that's Mom. I appreciate that. Love you too. Hey, I want to shift over here to the bowling aspect of it, and I would, bowling's been a big part of your life, a big
Abs-
part. I remember years ago when me and you bowled in the parent-child tournament at Edmund Lanes, and I want to say that was in the early '70s. Do you remember that?
Yes, I started bowling. I took lessons in 1967 with a friend of mine that told me, "Come on, let's go take these bowling lessons." And I said, "I don't want to bowl." She said, "Yeah, you do. Come on." So I've been a bowler ever since, and I love it. I still love it. I still bowl twice a week, and I love the people probably more than the bowling. We have the greatest people at our bowling center that there are.
So, do you remember what your highest bowling game?
279.
279. Do you remember when you did that? Was that at Tri-City Lanes?
I I I shot several of them, Bruce. I've just never shot a 300.
I remember I would always walk into the bowling center and they would put the honor roll scores up on the board, and they would have several great women bowlers that had scores. But if you bowled more than one of those 200 games, you'd get a number next to your name. And there were like 3 or 4 of you that was just always jockeying for position on that. I think
Mona
uh,
Griff.
Mona Griffin was one of those, and several ladies, just great members. Uh, what was it? What was it like? I want to just ask, kind of go back to on the business side. What was it like? I ended up being in relocation, so this interests me a lot, and that is when someone relocates from one city to another. I was wondering if you could share what was that time like when you and Dad decided to move from Edmond, Oklahoma to Seminole, Oklahoma to start your own business. What was that like, and what were some of the challenges you faced?
Very challenging. We had to stay in a motel um, for 3 or 4 months because we didn't have a house because we were selling ours in Edmond, and it was just very challenging. We moved all you kids down there with us to go to school, and the lady that owned the motel was a bowler, and she let us have 2 rooms at a discount price, thank goodness. And then we eventually bought a trailer house, a 4-bedroom trailer house, but it was so different than our home we had lived in because it was a third the size, and it was very challenging, but it was fun. It really was. We did good moving to Seminole. I felt like that's where God wanted me to put you kids through school, and it was a small school. I don't think you would have played the sports you did or got as involved as you did in school had you not gone to Seminole, because Edmond was growing. It was huge. When Mark's cousin, Wade Causey, graduated from Edmond High School, there were 600 kids in his class.
Mm.
Graduated. I don't think there were 100, maybe 120, but there weren't that many. So, but Mark played football, and in the year he went was a freshman, I believe, or a sophomore. They won state, and he got to go to the governor's mansion and all that stuff. I don't think you kids could have done that stuff had we not moved to Seminole. And Tri-City was small. We could run it ourselves, and it was fun. And the people, oh, the people were so nice. We've lost so many of them, but it's been 40 years.
So the lady that you're talking about that gave you the discount, that was Laura Lansdowne. I remember the Lansdowne Motel. So we stayed there. I talk a lot about gratitude, and I think back to some of those days thinking, man, you're basically saying, hey, we're going to relocate. We have a dream. We're going to make this work, and we're willing to sacrifice. living in a motel and then buying a trailer house until one day you could actually build a home.
Yes. Yes, we did build a home, and it was beautiful. Uh, I miss my swimming pool, but uh, it was. I like being in the city next to Deanna, mainly because you kids, when you come to the city, I see you more, and I like that. Because when you go you football games, then you can come over because it's right down, just down the road, about 15 minutes or 20, whatever. And lived in Seminole, you would have had to drive another hour, to get to this. So we like being there, but I loved Seminole when we were there.
Yeah, I always say that it's more than a football game when we go up and watch the Sooners play because we get to come to your house. I want to just kind of go back to one of the things that I do like to talk about is people that help us get to where we are today, to where we're going during our career. And many times we call those mentors, people that we just connect with. And, I always like to talk about, I first started learning to like network with people at the bowling center. You get to know all these different people and build these friendships. And so I was wondering if you could share who were some of the people, even maybe at Edmond as well, because I do remember the name Debbie Clarkson. Who were some of the people that you remember were mentors or people that you like to connect with kind of during your kind of bowling career? Were there some people that stood out?
Susie Campbell, Karen Russell. Karen's still alive. Susie's passed away, but they were my dearest friends. We bowled tournaments together. We went everywhere. In Seminole, Pat Klima is my dearest friend. We don't see each other as much since I'm here and she's in Seminole, but yes, they're my dearest friend. Kay Houck, Elsie Allison, just all these Trixie Ware. You remember Trixie Ware?
I do remember Trixie Ware. You know what I remember? I remember you going to all of these bowling tournaments with these ladies and y'all having these bowling pins on. Because every time you'd go to a tournament, you would collect a pin. And I can't remember if you put it in your hats or whatever, but I just remember that. So a lot of these people you're talking about, you went and bowled tournaments with.
Absolutely. All over the United States. Washington, D.C., Iowa, just everywhere, Texas. We went everywhere bowling in nationals. So, yeah, they're Pat's still a very good friend.
One of the things I like to share is that whenever we're talking about these people that you're talking about, and you go to like a networking event or in business, you're in these different environments. You get to see what good looks like, but you also get to see what not good looks like. And then you can kind of make your choice on which way you're going to go. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. We had a year that they wanted to go up on dues, and we were in our meeting and a lady stood up and she told them everywhere they had spent every penny on their money and that they shouldn't go up. Well, they didn't go up. They did go up, but we didn't get books that year for our leagues that had everybody used to got individual books for our leagues for our rules. And that year they didn't get them. But of course now USBC is the women and men combined, where before it was the women had theirs WIBC and the men had theirs ABC. But there were so many of the good women bowlers that wanted to bowl with the high average men bowlers. And of course, the way they had it, American Bowling Congress, it didn't say just men. So the women could buy their cards and bowl with them. So eventually they combined the whole thing. But yes, you learn things at these meetings you go to. And Jack and I, when we would go to bowling proprietor meetings, we would look and see what we wanted to do different at our establishment, or if we wanted to do something different with our food, or something. And yes, we learned a lot from that. Really, from a he was really a good person for Jack to talk to about doing different things. And Ken, you remember Ken from
Tim Denny?
No, Ken from he worked for Brunswick. Good friend too.
Okay, yes. Okay.
That's when we put the first scores in at Edmond.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Well, I'll tell you, Dad can tell you a story about how I learned how to correct scores when they put those new scores in Edmond. I remember one time I was bowling and I figured out how to start over to erase the score. And so I bowled and I wanted to start with a strike and I didn't get a strike. So I think I got a split and I opened. So I went back and they call it restore the score. So I went back and restored the score so it would take it off. And right then Dad was walking by and he saw where I had figured out how to change the score. So anyway, well, one of the things that, you both are bowling proprietors and, you've had some challenging times, but, obviously you've had success along the way. I was just wondering, can you share, what have you enjoyed most about being a bowling proprietor and running your own business?
Well, I guess we get to pick our own 8 hours a week. We worked at one time. I don't work so much anymore. Jack still does. I enjoyed the people and learning from them. You meet in a bowling center, you meet all walks of life. I mean, you meet the people that have money, the people that don't have money. You meet the people in the middle. But all of them are really kind, and they're kind to one another. I think it's just learning. I've learned more from watching people than anything else. And you learn a lot just by watching, and always, you always want to be kind to each and every one of them, no matter who they are. If I see them outside the bowling center, I'll speak to them and say, hi, how are you doing? And there's a lot of proprietors that don't do that, but so many anymore aren't there. They own several bowling centers and they have people that run them for them. So,
One of the things I wanted to talk about today also was, at one time, you both had Edmond Lanes, and then you acquired Seminole, which is Tri-City Lanes, and then eventually acquired Shawnee Bowl, which is the center that you operate today. But back in 2005, there was a fire, and it was on I believe it was on November the 5th of 2005. And the bowling center burned down. And I was just wondering if you could kind of go back in your mind and just share, not necessarily what happened, but what was that like to go through that? I mean, that was your first business where you moved to Seminole and you said, we're going to run this, we're going to raise our family. And then years later it burned down. What was that feeling?
It was heartbreaking. And everybody wanted us to rebuild it, but really money wise, we didn't have that much business. It would have cost us more than the insurance money to have restored it and rebuilt it. So we just took what we had and invested it in Shawnee to make it nicer. And the people drive back and forth. We still have bowlers from Seminole that come in and bowl at Shawnee.
I still remember the call You called me. It was about 5:30 in the morning and shared with me, and my heart was just broken.
Oh, mine was too. It was really Jack. They called Jack. The alarm was going off, and he went to see about it. Well, I thought he'd gone to Shawnee. I didn't realize that it was his Tri-City, and he called me and he said the bowling center's burning down. And I said, "Where are you?" And he says, "Well, I'm down here at Tri-City." And I said, "Uh-uh." But
Mm.
yeah, it was. And I got in the car and went down there, and we both cried as we watched the roof falling. So
Well, Dana and
it
I
was,
got in the car and we were there by about 8 o'clock the next morning. And
yeah,
I just remember just that feeling of just heartbreak. And I could feel how heartbroken you both were
yeah, we were.
during that time.
And it just broke our hearts. But for some reason, that's the way it was.
That was where I bowled my first 300 game. It's where I got to see, Dad used to have a tournament called Jack Singles Classic. That's where I met all the big dogs, Doc
Yeah,
Doherty, Steve Carson, Ron DeGroat. I mean, I could just go like on and on and on. I mean, the who's who would come to that tournament. David
that's,
White. I mean, you name it, they were there, and I got to see what great bowling, what that looked like. That was incredible, and just all the different memories of growing up there as a teenager, working the desk and cooking hamburgers, and I mean, and just to see all that go up, it was man, that was it's just something that just kind of is burned inside of you.
hmm that's true. That's true. It was sad. We bought it 10 years after. We actually Tri-City in 77, and we bought Shawnee in 87.
Wow. Okay. So, it's just like you say, you kind of look for the good. And so here you are. Now you're running Shawnee Bowl. It's a little bit closer to where you're at now. So it was certainly a blessing. But then, years later, you and Dad were basically inducted into the Shawnee Bowl or Shawnee Hall of Fame. Can you talk a little bit about that? And what was that? What was that like for you?
Well, it was very exciting. We didn't expect it. Um, we've always tried. Jack's really always been a really good promoter of bowling, and so, and I've always been one that goes out and talks to the people.
That's me. I got
And
that from you, by the way.
he does the promoting, but it's my father-in-law told me one day that he knew why we were in business and did as well as we did, and I I was surprised because I said, "Well, why do you think that?" And he said, "Because of you and the way you treat people." My father-in-law told me that, and I was so shocked because I thought he was one of the greatest men there ever were. Jack's dad, Howard.
Yeah, who owned Midwest Travel Service, and yeah, a college professor, a great man.
That's right.
I think about that because I was actually I talk about that a lot. That's how I learned. That's where I learned customer service. Watching you talk to the different people, and sometimes they may not have something nice to say. Maybe they had a bad experience on the bowling lanes because their bowling lanes were broke down, or maybe they didn't score well that night, or it's not always easy. Customer services can be challenging, right?
Absolutely. But if their lanes were down for very long, we always tried to buy them something to drink. And I always went down and talked to them and said, "Hey, if you're out on the road and have a flat tire, you can't go down and fix it. And that's kind of the way these machines are. If they break down, we just got to fix them." And I would laugh, and they would usually end up laughing with me. So it was usually very seldom did we ever have anybody really get mad. There's been occasion that we've had to cancel and have them come back because we were using all 12 lanes. So But that was that's what I did. Where your
Yeah.
dad, I talked to the people. And we
Well,
still, if they were drinking beer, I'll buy them a beer, you know, just to make sure, they're happy. When they come in the door, I want them to leave as happy as they did when they came in. I don't want them to be unhappy. I want them to be happy.
yeah, I remember you used to always talk about how people came to the bowling center. Typically they don't bowl in the daytime. They're working. They're bowl at nights and the weekends. And you would always talk about how, when people come in the door, they're there to get away from work. They're to be entertained and have a good time. And you always talked about how important that was to make sure they had a good experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a guy tell me the other day that they used to have all their kids' birthday parties at the bowling center. And I said, well, I hope you had a good experience. He said, we did, ma'am. We did. Loved having our birthday parties there. He said, my kids are all grown now, but we did have them all there. And I thought that was a good comment that he made.
Listen, feedback is a gift. That is a great comment. I want to really touch on one other part, and that is, I share with my friends all the time that, hey, my mom still bowls multiple leagues. She may not be bowling 5 leagues now. So how many leagues are you bowling, and what's your average today?
My average is not very good. I think it's 165. No, it's 159 because I was sick for a while and I was off for 7 weeks. But I've come back and I shot 521 last Wednesday night and I shot 525 Friday afternoon. So I'm getting back up there where I'm averaging 160 again, 165. And that's good for me at my age. I'm glad I can still throw the ball.
500 series. I mean, come on. And you're still bowling. Let's see, you're bowling 2 leagues a week. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
And you're bowling with one of my, so who do you bowl with on Wednesday night? Who are some of the people that you bowl with?
Oh, I bowl with Danny McSpirit. I bowl with Bill Panther. And I bowl with Mike Lane.
Mike Lane.
Bill Panther's the second. But anyway, but I've been bowling with him about 3 or 4 years. Mike and I have been bowling together about 15 years.
A long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think that we were having a texting, I think Deanna, our youngest sister, or your youngest daughter, it was actually subbing one night. She was bowling with you, and Mike Lane was talking about now he's having a hard time, keeping up with both you and Deanna.
Well, used to, he did have a hard time keeping up with me because that's when I was averaging 180. But I haven't averaged that in a few years, probably 4. Right. But I did average in the 70s. But I think last year it was 167 is what I ended up with.
Man, those are some good people. How about Fridays? Who do you bowl with on Fridays?
Linda and her mother. Linda's about a 210 average bowler, 220. And Kay averages probably in 150, 60 like I do. And Kay Woodard. And they're just really a lot of fun to bowl with. There's some really good bowlers on that league. And just to sit and watch them. We won 2 games the other day, but we lost 2. But the second game, there were 3 girls, all 3 of them, 2 of them, one of them shot 223 and one of them shot 250, I think. And then the other one was over her average. But it was fun. They just bowled really well. You don't win when they bowl really well. And we bowled good because, we had beat them the first game, but I shot 196 the first game. Then I shot 165 and then 164. But, it's fun. It's just a fun sport. Anybody can do it. Children. You can go with your parents to bowl. And like Christmas, usually the day after Christmas, our families, where are we? We're at the bowling center at Shawnee with all of our family, and nearly everybody comes to bowl. I don't know how it'll be this year, but anyway, that's what it's been in the past.
I like how you said that. It's just fun. Like, me, the Pro Bowlers bowled not too long ago here in Arlington, and I was in the area for work. So I stopped by and sat down with Linda Barnes and watched Chris Barnes and that group, bowl. And it's just, there's just something about watching these great bowlers. And so on your Friday league, that's a travel league. And there's like a lot of really good bowlers. I know Linda Wilson's had multiple 300 games, and there's some others in that league that are pretty good bowlers too.
And multiple 800s. I was bowling with her at Planet One when she bowled one of her 800 series.
Yeah, and the best part is they're just good people, and I think that that's the best part. And really, you're bowling, but you're really networking because you're down there, you're talking to them about life, just talking about life, your kids and the community and just things going on in life.
Yeah, that's true. That's what we usually talk about, our kids.
Well, I do want to ask you this one question. And this question, actually, I actually asked Dana, I said, hey, if there's anything you wanted to ask Mom, what would it be? And I had this question down and she said this, and I thought, you know what, I definitely want to make sure I ask this. And that is this, for someone that's looking to go into business, like you and Dad, you went into business and worked hard to get to where you are today. What's some advice that you would give someone that says, hey, I'm going to go into business? What are some things they should think about?
Well, your backing. If you have, the backing to get into it, you want to make sure that if you kind of fall down, that, you're going to stand back up. You're not going to get anywhere by, falling down. I think people just need to have the desire. Mm. You've got to have the desire and love what you're getting into.
That's a great, I love that because it reminds me of a quote by your brother. And I can't remember the exact quote, but he said this. He says, when he's handing out football or sport, he was a coach, Uncle Walter said, I can issue you all of the equipment. I can issue all of the things you need. The only thing I can't issue is desire. You have to have that.
Yeah. You've got to have that desire. That's true.
Yeah, that's some great advice. Anybody that is listening, I know they're going to get a lot out of that. You don't just go into business just to go into business. You got to really love what you're doing. I remember you used to get on to me if the bathrooms weren't clean, right? You knew the importance of all of the hard work. You had that desire, but man, you got to work hard to make it work.
Right. And that would come to our place to go to the bathroom. And I didn't know it. Jack told me when he got home one night, he said, do you know why he always stops by our place? And I said, no. He said, well, he says, we have the cleanest bathrooms around. And I said, well, that's nice. But it was important to me to be clean. It still is important for me to make sure the bathrooms are clean and the sinks wiped off.
Well, when I go on trips or I stop somewhere, we're always, looking at how clean are the bathrooms. And so that was something that you instilled in me. So no, that's great. Oh man, I love this. I got so many other questions, but I'm going to move into the part of what I call it's time to accelerate. And this is just kind of some fun questions that as we kind of conclude our podcast. The first question is, what kind of books do you like to read? What's your favorite book? Well,
I like Daniel Steele books. I kind of like that book, Find Your Lane.
That's a pretty good book, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really good book.
I love that. I know that you're a big reader. You've always been a big reader.
I used to read a whole lot. I don't read as much anymore as I used to, but yes, I have lots of books.
Yes, you do. How about favorite music? I just remember driving as a young child, thinking, "Man, she's got that music turned up loud." And I believe it might have been Tanya Tucker. What do you like listening to? And is it
I
different today than it was
I
years
really
ago?
music. I change my stations a lot. I like a lot of the Carly Simon era, the Carpenters, James Taylor, and I love country. I've always loved country music, and so I switch it back and forth from the bridge to the highway.
The bridge to the highway. How far? That is great. Oh man. So we're in the holiday season, and I would love to know what is your cup. I want to know two questions. The first question is, do you remember when you would eat as a child with your mom? What was your favorite food? What did she like to cook? And then today, what's your favorite?
Mother made really great pumpkin pies.
Mm.
Still like pumpkin pie, and it's just not a holiday without pumpkin.
I love that. Oh man, pumpkin pie for sure. As a matter of fact, I think I made one last year. I'll be making one again this year. So when you would go, like so you remember that when you were a teenager and you would be eating at home, pumpkin pie was there for the holidays.
Oh yeah, but we went to my grandfather's. He didn't pass away. I was 18, so every Christmas Day we were at my grandfather's for Christmas Day, and all my aunts and uncles would be there that could be. I had one that lived in Colorado that didn't, but all the rest of them did. And the wives would all bring food, and oh my gosh, food than we could shake a stick at, turkey, ham, anything, to do with holidays, mashed potatoes and gravy and yeah, green beans and yeah, it was awesome. Awesome.
And I'm just going to kind of pause here. I want to go in this direction. You had a lot of cousins then that you kind of were close to, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And we still see them. I have one that comes from Colorado, and we try to get together and have dinner when she does. In fact, her and her brother stayed with Jack and I here about 2 years ago when they came. And she still got all her siblings but one, where we've lost all my brothers. Well, there's seven. There were seven of them, and there's still six of them still alive. So we all get together when we can.
Yeah, and isn't it nice? The social media allows you to keep up with a lot of them as well, right?
Absolutely. Lois calls me at least once a week.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so we talked about favorite food. We talked about the holiday season. What is your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Christmas. Why is that your favorite holiday?
Well, because when your family grows up and marries and has other families to visit, they seem to always go the other direction for different holidays. But on Christmas Day, they come to our house. So our whole family, without all our grandchildren, all of our children, in-laws, everybody always comes for Christmas. And it's always so much fun. Never fighting. It's just everybody picking on each other and playing dirty Santa. And Earl's dad came last year and he said, I will be back next year. I have never had so much fun in my whole life. And I thought that was a pretty nice compliment because there are a bunch of us.
That was a very nice compliment. I know that when I got married years ago, that's one of the things that Dana talked about enjoying was we had a big family. and she got to see it front row seat at Christmas.
Oh yeah. And that's when they all come, you know. And somebody said, well, they don't get to come Thanksgiving. And I said, hey, they can't come to all the holidays, but they all make it at Christmas. Even Adam and Alex come every Christmas. Yeah.
So one of the things that I think I know the answer to this question, but one of the things that I used to ask a lot of guests was around hobbies. And then my friend Yvonne said, hey, the question she likes is what energizes you? And I thought, that's a really great question, because typically if it's really energizing, you're going to really get into that. What energizes you today in your when you're not bowling and you're not running your business? What energizes you?
Oh, projects that I do. I've got 3 great grandsons due before very long. So I'm working on 3 quilts. So that energizes me to get in the and my thoughts on how I want to put my quilts together and stuff, because I don't use patterns. All my quilts are what I design. And they're not anything fancy like the stars and stuff like my friend does. She makes beautiful quilts. Mine are just straight stitch, but I put their names and stuff on them, and I'm proud of them. So that's what energizes me.
Okay, so I have some of these quilts. So I did want to talk about this because I want to know, you've got this, like when you walk into if you walk into my mom's home, you walk into this room. I call it the craft room, and it seems like there's like sewing machines everywhere. How did you talk a little bit? How did you like get into sewing? I have some of the blankets you made. You made me a Big 12 blanket before Nebraska went to the Big Ten conference. You've made several of my children blankets as well. I mean, you love doing that. How did you get started in sewing and doing that stuff?
Pat Klima, that's her favorite pastime. I have to be in the mood. Pat, she's in the mood 24/7. She always made beautiful quilts, and she does now. But she's the one that got me to making the quilts. That's where I got it. And after I went out there to have do some lettering one night, well, the next thing I know, I've got a lettering machine underneath the tree. And I said, what's that for? Jack said, well, you might as well do your own lettering. You go out there. And I thought, well, yeah, but it was fun to go out and visit with Pat. So now I have several lettering machines. Yeah.
Well, and what I like about you, what you do in your work is that you will brand them. And so for those who are listening right now, my mom has children that have graduated from Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma, as well as other schools, but she's a big OU Sooner fan. And I remember there was I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it might've been Tracy. You had made a blanket print and you put a little brand on there. He's a UT fan. You put that little bitty OU on there.
Head of these cow.
but you'll brand them like you do Disney characters. You do a lot of different, very creative.
Right, I do. I like to do the Disney, and I'll put OU on them.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So let's see. So you had, out of 7 children, how many have graduated college? I guess everybody's graduated college.
Everybody.
And then your grandchildren, you have a lot of college graduates already. You got masters. I mean, they've been doing well.
6%.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I love that. I knew you was going to say sewing, and I know you love that, and you do a great job with it. I know that people appreciate that. So I always like to ask this question too, I've got just a couple more questions as we conclude here. One of the questions is, what's some advice? It might've been from your mom. It might've been from a friend. It might've been from dad. What's some advice that you received that you like to pass along to others? Can you share that?
Oh, I guess it would be my mother. Always treat people as you would like to be treated. Be kind. That's the best advice Mother always taught us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. No, that's great advice, and I try to continue to instill that in with my family. And okay, so here's the last question, Mom, and the question I'm giving a presentation called Great Leaders Are Grateful Leaders. And we're in the season of gratitude. We got Thanksgiving. This is actually going to be played right before Christmas. So right before Christmas, would you share what you're most grateful for?
What I'm most grateful for, I'm most grateful for my family and their health. I mean, here Marky is 58 and he runs what, 5 miles every other day? And here you run a half marathon. And Deborah works out. Yeah, I'm grateful for the health of my family. And I'm grateful for their families because not everybody is this blessed.
Okay, so I just thought about this, and so I'm going to add one other question because I was thinking about this is, like I said, this is going to air in December, and you would have just celebrated 46 years of marriage. What is that like, and what's the secret of success there?
Oh, I guess the secret of success is just respect one another, be kind to one another. You'll go through your spits and spats, but overall, you don't ever try to embarrass yourselves or in front of other people, and you try to show respect and love for one another, I would imagine.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh man, I will tell you that this has been like one of the most exciting podcasts that I've been a part of, but it's also been nerve-wracking because there's so much I want to. I mean, I talk to you all the time, but to be able to be able to record our conversation, this means a lot. So I just want to say thank you for coming on and doing this for me, and some of the wisdom that you shared is going to help a lot of people. And so I just want to tell you I love you and happy birthday.
Thank you, and I love you too, Simon.